Start. So I share the screen. Just talking. So you should be able to see the website. Good. Right. Everybody's muted, but if you can't see the website, just let me know. Right. Results, which we've already talked about a bit, but we'll have a look anyway. So one of you, I think it was Lynn, asked me about averages. Lynn, are you prepared to do averages on a spreadsheet?
I wouldn't have a clue how to start, but I guess I could learn.
Oh, okay. Well, all you do, you just, at the moment, for example, we've got 9 weeks on the screen, haven't we?
Mhm.
So all you do is just write down the percentage for each week, add them up, and then divide by the number of times the person's actually played. You see what I mean? Well, I think Jonathan's doing the same. So let's have a look anyway. They're both the same because it was combined. So really, Beryl and David, it was actually neck and neck as I was doing the scoring. I have to confess, I was roaring you on a little bit as the relative underdogs, and it came down to one board. There was just that difference of 1.9% is equivalent to not doing so well on one board, if you see what I mean. So well done. Nice to see Jonathan and Mike there up amongst the sort of leaderboard. Anne and Penny, I've said well done. Of course, that east-west is a bit of a mixture of people, isn't it, as always? So I think really the star performance there goes to Anne and Melissa, who are genuine Group 1 people, and Lynn and Pearl there, and Jean and Zoe not far behind. Rather confused scoring there because unfortunately somebody had to leave and we had to sort of make things up a bit. So much for the results. Now, if there's one moment in a bridge hand that's the most important, it is that opening lead. Now, we don't write them down, of course. We could do if people wanted to. It will be interesting. It's another thing to sort of think about. But if anything in a deal swings the way things go, it's the opening lead. And a few weeks ago, we just really concentrated on suits and which card to lead. Now we come on to the larger subject of the suit itself, and I hope to introduce you to even Group 2 to 1 or 2 new ideas this evening. So the suit to lead. Now, I've said this before, but in whist and bridge, having the lead is a disadvantage. Okay? It's a disadvantage. The best seat to be in a trick is the last one, because you can either win the trick as cheaply as possible, or just simply throw away a low card. So if you're in 4th seat, as Declarer is here, your position is relatively easy. And quite a lot of time in bridge is the idea of when you are on lead, not simply giving tricks away. Now, of course, people starting the game naturally cash their aces when they see them straight away. And after a while, they see that all that does is just capture 2s, 3s, 4s and 5s, that kind of thing. So if you do lead the ace itself, then this is the kind of thing that could well happen. You've just presented Declarer with 2 tricks. Can you see that? All right, the finesse of the queen would have worked for him, but the finesse of the king wouldn't. So in general, it's a bad idea to just lead off solitary aces, except perhaps when you've got 2 aces and somebody's in a slam.
Yeah, excuse me, Chris.
Yes.
You've got 2 sixes on there and no 4. You need to alter one.
So let's make dummy queen 4-3, shall we? Thank you. Queen 4-3. Okay. Similarly, under leading aces, it is not a very good idea for the same reason. So that's what we call a risky lead. And if you lead low, that can be even worse. because if it were a suit contract, declarer might have a singleton and your ace is worthless. So that's getting the really bad sort of leads out of the way. Okay, not new stuff yet, obviously, for most of you. Same applies to kings. You know, we go through this order of the royal family, don't we? And the ace's job is to kill a king. The king's job is to kill a queen in a perfect world. So if you underlead, let's suppose you led the two of whatever it was. The suit doesn't matter. There are no suit symbols. The idea is the same. And you've just given a trick away. Can you see that? Now, it's not going to happen every time. I'm not saying it's a disastrous lead necessarily, but that's the kind of situation you can run into. Now, left to our own devices, they would have finessed the queen, wouldn't they, and lost. So you've just saved them the bother. So the underlead of the king, for the same sort of reason, is the same kind of thing. Kings are meant to kill queens, like Henry VIII. Okay, so I could run through the lower cards, but the idea is the same. Queens are meant to kill jacks, jacks are meant to kill tens. That's the best job a high card can do. Now, in actual fact, when it's against no trumps is really very much a battle of getting your long suits established on time. So the idea of worrying about risky leads comes into it much less. This applies much more to suit contracts, but we'll run through something we've not done for a while. So let's have a bit of feedback then now. In general, leading against no trump contracts, what's our top priority?
Longest suit.
It's not the very top, actually.
Okay.
It's near the top.
Top of a sequence of at least 3.
Yeah, it's another good idea, but it's not what I've got coming up, I think, on number 1.
Fourth highest in a suit.
Well, that will be somewhere in the middle. You'll kick yourselves. It's so obvious.
An unbid suit.
That's right near the top. Let's see.
A singleton.
Singleton is a very good lead. Was that Jill?
Yeah.
Anything your
A singleton's
partner's
a
bid.
very got it. Yeah. It's so easy to forget that, isn't it? And I mean, all of you, I'm sure at the bridge table wouldn't just ignore partner's bid, but that's at the very top of the list. I put that there deliberately because we do forget sometimes bridge is a two-way game. Indeed, yeah. The lead of a singleton is a very good lead against a suit contract.
Yes, better with a suit, yes.
In fact, it's in second place, we'll find. Provided your hand is weak enough.
Mm.
If your hand's quite strong, I mean, the idea, the perfect lead of the singleton, his partner has the ace and then leads back for a ruff.
Mm.
So it's great with hands in suit contracts, but,
Yeah.
but not. We would
Not no trumps, no.
rarely lead a singleton no trumps, but I think we might see an example or two later. And then we have the others, lead an unbid suit, obviously. This is a sort of priority, isn't it? And then your longest suit. And it doesn't have to be the strongest, just the longest is the main thing in no trumps. Major preferred to minor often, because if the bidding just goes 1 no trump, 3 no trumps, and they haven't investigated a major suit with Stayman or transfers, then a major would take priority in that situation. And if you really have to, if you got, say, 2 majors, see which is the stronger, which has got the more high card points. So this is certainly for group 2 basic revision. Everybody happy with that?
Yes.
It's more difficult to get suit contracts, actually, because I think you've got this really clear priority here. Okay, so that's no trumps. We're just mainly talking about what suit to lead this evening. Whole great books have been written on this subject. It really is actually a vast subject where we only touch the surface in some ways. And you can see a rather long list for trump contracts we're talking about now. So what will be top priority against a trump contract?
Partner's suit.
It doesn't change, does it?
Singleton.
Yeah, I'm going to put Singleton, David, very soon, but I'm going to put one just ahead of it.
Okay.
Ace from Ace King.
You know, one great bridge player said, if you've got the ace and the king, you haven't got a problem. That's your lead. Although actually, if you had ace, king, 4-3-2 against no trumps, you would in fact lead a low card. You wouldn't. But the great thing about ace, king, of course, sorry, we forgot about unbid suits, obviously. But then I think we're going to get ace and king. And of course, the great thing about the ace and the king is you put your ace down, then dummy comes down if it's opening lead, and you know, your partner can then give you a signal. If you've got ace, king, queen, obviously that's absolutely perfect. And as Jill was talking about the singleton sort of second in the order of hierarchy, but it depends how strong you are. Sometimes, you know, if they've got 1 no trump, 3 no trumps, you've only got 15 points at most between you in theory. So, you know, if you've got 12 or something, there is little point in leading a singleton. But a singleton can be a devastating lead, and especially in a really weak hand. Okay. When you lead a singleton, of course, do make sure you want a ruff.
Yeah.
You would think you would always want a ruff, but if you yourself have got good trumps, you like, you know, like king jack 10 or something like that, you don't necessarily want a ruff there, because you'd like those to actually win tricks in their own right. So it's not automatic. Singleton, usually second place. After that, we do like an honor sequence, and the higher the better. So the king's the queen. You know, from king queen, of course, against a suit contract, you lead the king. Now, the reason it works pretty well is because if partner has the jack or the ace, it's a really good lead. And then, you know, behind that, you've got your queen jacks and so on. But the point is, leading from an honor sequence, you're not taking a risk. Because if you lead the queen with the jack, you're not going to risk the queen not doing her natural job of getting rid of the jack, if you see what I mean. Okay? Now, this is where it's different. If you can't do any of those things, which is quite often, make a safe lead. You will very often make safe leads against trump contracts. Okay? This is quite different from no trumps. And just to make it clear, as we saw on the previous sort of screen, but one, dangerous leads are when you underlead honors. So if you had king XXX, if you lead an X, that's a dangerous lead, because the king may not be able to do its natural job. So that takes priority. And sometimes, of course, you haven't got a safe lead, and you have to lead from a suit with broken honors. So let's just, it's a long while since we actually did this back in the Fred Reynolds Centre, I think. So there we have it. The main point, though, which perhaps some people may not be aware of, is this idea of making a safe lead. Sorry, we have a question.
Yeah, just a couple of things. I can't see number 8. It's fallen off our screen. What's the writing?
It said the last thing you want to do is lead a suit containing a single honor.
Okay. Can I ask a couple of questions? And a couple of the leads that I often do is obviously, and it's not on that list, is if dummy has bid something, then I lead to dummy's strength, because I know that it will put my partner in the least difficult position. If you lead if you lead to partner's bid, which is obviously a good one as well, you may be leading to his king
Well,
and
yeah,
pair as ace.
yeah. I mean, leading to dummies. Well, for start, we're talking about opening leads here, of course.
Yeah,
We
I
don't
understand that. Yeah,
really do that. It is certainly better to lead, if you have to dummy's strength rather than declarer's strength.
absolutely, absolutely.
That's the very worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
But in an opening lead, we're not always sure. And we do want our partner to have something in high cards. So I would put an unbid suit generally above dummy. But
Okay.
if you're really stuck, then, you know, better to lead into dummy's high cards than
And
declarers.
the other one that's not there, I presume, is a doubleton.
Yeah.
I could often
Yeah.
lead the highest of a doubleton.
Yeah.
hoping
Um,
to message.
Right. First of all, I'm glad you asked that, because it will be a number 9, which will be right off the screen. What you can do with your partnership is make it a rule that you don't lead on a doubletons. So you see, if you've got Queen 5, say, if you lead the Queen, it's promising the Jack, isn't it? So one good idea is to completely eliminate from your repertoire of opening leads honor doubletons.
Oh,
Now, the exception, of course, is when partner bid the suit. Okay. Problem with doubletons can be also that if you're fairly short with a doubleton, your partner may have a holding that is effectively wrecked by your lead. Now, I think it might come on the screen later. When you're declarer, yes, and you've got the ace, the king, and the jack, how many cards do you need to hope that the queen drops? I'll repeat the question. You are declarer, the other corner of the table. You've got the ace and the king, say, of trumps, let's say for the sake of argument. Now, you've also got the jack, so that you want to finesse the queen, or will you? You might decide to just play off the ace and the king and hope the queen falls. Now, do you remember how many cards on average you need to do that?
9.
yeah.
9, right?
Yeah, you count your trumps. Yeah. Work it out.
Sorry, this is getting a little bit technical before our time, but I always like to try to answer questions if I can. Now, if you've only got a doubleton, your partner might have queen and 2 small ones, for example. Yes. Now, if declarer had just played off the ace and the king, your partner's queen would have won. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there is a risk of spoiling your partner's holding. Another example, by the way, will be jack to with 3 X's, or jack 10 XX, that sort of thing. So in other words, the less cards you've got, the more declarers got, and the more likely you will spoil your partner's holding. But of course, nothing's certain in bridge. It's all probabilities. I hope that helps.
Yeah. Chris,
No,
would you-
sorry, go on then.
I was just going to
Sorry,
say,
sorry, Keith, yeah.
you haven't included on your list leading a small trump, or
Yes.
do you consider that?
Now,
do you
I
consider
have.
that one?
I have, but it's
Number
not. It's
6.
hidden. It's number 6. That's quite right. Yes. Now, sometimes there's no harm in leading trumps. Absolutely none. And sometimes trumps are the only safe lead. But, and we'll come to this, best with 2 or 3 small ones.
Yes.
Yeah. Because the singleton one is the same idea that you can wreck partners holding. So yes, the more you play bridge, I suspect, with experience, the more you play trumps. And the main reason for that is that it's a safe lead. What kind of bidding situation, by the way, would suggest leading a trump apart from a safe lead? Anybody know the answer to that?
Competitive, I would say.
I wasn't actually thinking of competitive auctions, let's say we haven't bid, and what kind of auction have they had that suggests a trump, do you think?
One
This is
where
new.
they've
I've
gone in-
never said it before.
Where they've
one where
struggled
they've
to find a
agreed
match.
on the second suit.
Yeah, Fraser, that was. I think he's. Can you say that again, Fraser?
So where they've struggled to find a match.
They've bid about 3 different suits. Now, what does that suggest? It suggests shortages, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And where there are shortages, declare is more likely to want to use those trumps for roughing. So if you lead a trump, it reduces declarer's roughing power. And on screen 3, we've got very deep this evening, haven't we?
No.
So I just repeat that last point that I think Fraser was saying the same thing, really. If they struggle to find a fit, it suggests there are shortages in the suits, okay? So it's often a good idea to lead a trump in that situation because they'll be wanting to retain at least some of their trumps for roughing those shortages. I hope that makes sense.
Yep.
Was there another question just then? Right, okay, let's move on. That's that for that one, isn't it? So now, which one have I just done? That was, sorry, I've gone past the thing. Next one. Right, this may be new to you. Do any of you, I suspect in group 2, of course, play lead directing doubles? Not even you, Mr. Smith, or
No, I
Mr.
just
Ho?
had to unmute myself. Yes, I do.
Do. And do you play that both with Caroline or, for example, John, whoever's your partner?
Yes, and with Tim, although Tim doesn't always recognise it. Sorry, Tim.
Yeah, it's quite a simple idea, actually. I think you'll agree, isn't it? It's not one of these horrible, complicated conventions. And the idea is that, well, you can talk us through it. Now, partner doubles a conventional bid. That's a conventional bid of theirs, okay?
Yeah.
Now, an example of a conventional bid, of course, is 2 clubs, Stayman. Now, the agreement is this, and you both must be singing from the same song sheet. This is very simple, and any of you watching could take it up. So, this asks partner to lead that suit. Now, for example, on your right, somebody's just bid 2 clubs for Stayman. Now, their auction's got to go on, hasn't it? Because their partner's got to give some reply. So why not take the most of that opportunity and think, would I like clubs led? And if you double, that obviously isn't for penalties because it's Stayman. It means you want clubs led. Do you get the idea?
Yeah.
I heard a strange groaning noise there.
It was just this, just it sinking in.
I think we'll just repeat the idea, shall we? Because I think it sounds as if there's only one person in the audience who's used it so far. It really isn't complicated. Now, what kind of bids of theirs can be conventional? In other words, nothing to do with the suit they're talking about. And the first one we learn, of course, is 2 clubs, Stayman. Okay.
Plus the return if it's 2 diamonds.
Yeah, no, hold on, not too quickly. Please, not too quickly for the sake of our brains. Now, you would never normally double 2 clubs because it's just Stayman. You think, oh no, I'll go to fall asleep for 2 minutes while they go through their Stayman sequence. But why not use that? Every time they bid, it gives you an opportunity. Maybe you would like clubs led. Now, I would suggest, I don't know what Keith does, I would suggest fairly strongly led. I think if you're going to do this, you want something like ace, queen, jack, something king, queen, whatever. I would play it as fairly strongly led because it's a bit of a command. Do you use it as a command, Mr. Smith?
Yes, so long as partner's awake.
Right. You get the idea?
2 weeks ago, I missed a negative double. So I'm not the only one that falls asleep at the bid. Yeah, I fall asleep at the bidding table as well.
Chris, could I ask, what sort of explanation do you give to the opposition if they
Right.
ask?
Well, that's a good question. When we get to the bottom of the screen, David, we'll see exactly what we do
Okay.
about that. Yeah. You know that blue card you never use, the alert card.
Yeah.
And I used to say, when you're more experienced in bridge, you'll be using that more often. Okay. So it means please lead the suit partner. And of course, the corollary is, if you are playing lead directing doubles, and I strongly suggest you do, is that if they don't double, don't lead a club. I think to me, this seems really useful. Unfortunately, I've never played with a partner who has been able to play. So good luck to you. What other bids could we double for the lead?
Blackwood
Transfer.
in any form.
Yes, Blackwood. We'll come to that in a minute. What else?
Transfer.
Transfers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you play two spades as a transfer to clubs. Strongly recommended, but only with a 6-card minor weak hand. They're all conventional bids. When you do a transfer bid, you don't mean what you say. It doesn't mean what it says on the can. And that's another opportunity for you, you know? So there are actually quite a lot of occasions when you can use this. I would still suggest, though, that you need quite a strong suit, something like ace, queen, queen, king, that sort of thing. But when it works, it can be very useful. And somebody just now said Blackwood. Of course, that's a convention as well. And of course, the replies to Blackwood have nothing to do with the suits. So you could, if you've got something like ace, king in a suit or ace, queen, you could use it after their Blackwood. Okay, but obviously it's got to be top notch against a slam, because they're going to lead it. And you can sometimes defeat a slam without any effort whatsoever. Ever used it after Blackwood, Keith?
No.
No, he doesn't. Obviously, we don't bid enough slams. Were there any yesterday?
You did the scoring. I can't remember making any.
No, there weren't. I'll answer my own question. Why do you think I think there were no slams yesterday? Well, you know what I think, don't you? Why have I produced all those bits of paper? But there we are.
No.
We've tested it in Group 1. It definitely produces a wider variety of hands. Twice recently, we've had 9-card heart suits, for example.
Yeah.
Okay. Of course, you can overdo it, by the way. I know at least one of you likes to deal out 5s and 4s and things like that. Now, if you do that, you'll go too far the other way and you'll get freak hands. So that's actually even worse.
Oh,
So that's only my opinion. And you're probably thinking, well, he can shuffle all the boards himself in that case. Yes, you are. Now, here's another one. Do you know what this means? He's gone 1 no trump, 3 no trumps by them. And suddenly your partner doubles. Now, usually you're a bit out of your head to double 3 no trumps, because all they've done is worked out they've got 25 points. Has anybody ever come across a double of 3 no trumps?
No.
No.
And Christopher might be pleased to see this, because it means lead a suit bid by dummy. Now, sometimes, with the best will in the world, bidding is not an exact science. You can have your 25 and more points, as you know, but one of the players has got a horrible run like King, Queen, Jack, 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's only how many points is that? So it's just 6 points. So it's perfectly possible. And they haven't had chance to bid it. So lead a suit bid by dummy. If there has been a suit. Okay. Sorry, it wouldn't have gone 1 no trump, 3 no trumps. There would have been some suit bid here. Now, the obvious question for one of you to ask next is,
Sorry, Chris, can I just ask? I mean, if you double 3 no trumps, that will be left in, won't it? I mean, that
absolutely. And
So
the
you-
reason for that is
Chris.
because only you know that you've got this excellent suit, which should partner be able to find it with their pathetic little doubleton, they wouldn't have led. And I'm
Okay.
talking about suits here like King, Queen, Jack 10 with the ace on the outside as an entry. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
You can see that if only partner could lead that suit with your King, Queen, Jack 10 and an outside ace as an entry, you know you will defeat the contract. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
It is much better when dummy's on your right to double. When the heart, for example, is being played through dummy.
Yes, well, whichever way round it is, we're talking here about suggesting an opening lead, aren't we? So whichever. But of course, I just mistakenly said 1 no trump, 3 no trumps. So there obviously would have had to be some bidding in between. Now, what's the obvious question to ask next? Well, the obvious question is, perhaps not so obvious, what if dummies bid 2 suits?
Yeah.
And in that case, you lead the second one. And I think that's a quite easy convention you might like to incorporate. Obviously, it doesn't come up that often because you don't that often get nice high runs. That hand,
Chris, can I just ask a question following up actually a comment from Keith? What you talked about double Stayman inquiry.
Yes.
And I've seen some Andrew Robson examples where if the response to Stayman is 2 diamonds, the person to the left of what then would be the declarer will double at that point, saying lead diamonds.
Excellent point, Catherine. Well done. That's correct, isn't it? Because the response of 2 diamonds itself is artificial. You have tonight's house points, by the way. Excellent. Can you see that? The response to 2 clubs, if it's 2 diamonds negative. Yeah. Don't anybody say Catherine read that in Robson's book, because you could have bought the book. And how do you think I know what I do? Okay. I described somebody as very good at bridge recently, and some cynical soul said, oh, they probably read lots of books. And I have to say, that's incredibly English attitude, isn't it? This idea you shouldn't cheat by learning about things. Not that all English attitudes, of course, are, Paul, but don't want to appear unpatriotic. So that's that. And going back to David's point, of course, this is clearly artificial indeed, and they should be alerted by partner. So if you most of you in group 2 here are quite capable of taking this on. It's strongly recommended. It makes defense, people get bored by defense. It makes defense more interesting, all these kind of things. And when it comes off, you can look very smug, of course. Yeah. So you hold the alert card out. You don't announce this. You hold up the alert card. Then, of course, your partner. So the next player says, what does that mean? And your partner says, for example, if it's Stayman, partner is asking me to lead clubs. Okay. You don't have to explain all of the theory of lead directing doubles, including Catherine's 2 diamonds there.
Chris, I'm going to have to confess a complete lack of knowledge here. Are you saying that the person...
I can't hear you, Chris. I think you're a bit further back than usual. Sorry.
When you say the alert card is raised by the bidder to alert, to say this is a conventional bid.
Yeah.
I thought it was the partner who does that. And then,
sorry, I didn't make that clear. It is the partner. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
It is the partner.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I made it sound as if it was the other way around, didn't I?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's all right then. And
once again, thank goodness you're here.
Yeah.
When
I think so.
So you raise the alert card, and then
Catherine thinks it's good you're here as well. That's nice, isn't it? Cozy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's always the partner. Yeah. The partner will hold the alert card up. Quite right. And then they will be asked, won't they, what it means. Is that okay now?
Yep.
Yeah, I think you touched on it, Chris, but this doubling of the 3 no trumps, I mean, say you were left in it.
The doubling of 3 no trumps, you wouldn't be left in it because it's in effect a penalty double.
Right. I see.
I think we need to just make this clear. 3 no trumps you would never normally double for penalties because the bidding's so easy. They've, you know, unless they're absolute beginners, they're always going to have 25 plus points.
Yeah.
On the other hand, and let's harp on again about the imaginary suit. Supposing you've got king, queen, jack, 10, 9, I'll have to say, yeah?
Yes.
It's one example. And you got an outside entry, that's quite important. You could, you know, you'll just run off 5 tricks at some point.
Mm.
Now, how many points does that add up to? 10. It's not a terrific hand, is it? But
No.
it just so happens you've got a lovely run in a suit, you know,
Yeah.
or you might even, it's quite possible that you might have ace, king, queen, jack, and another one, you know.
Yeah. So you've got to have a very strong suit to do that then.
Very strong suit, but not necessarily a strong hand because the strongest suit only contains 10 points.
Yeah.
Mm.
And they could have bid with 30 points in theory, couldn't they?
Mm. Yeah.
Now, don't let us pretend it comes up too often, but when it does, it's absolutely maddening because partner's not going to lead that suit, are they? They've probably got a little doubleton in it or something.
Mm.
So in fact, it's a penalty double in effect.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Anyway,
okay.
these are all on the website. You can always have a look at them again, or even watch yourself again during tonight's performance, asking such intelligent questions, catching the presenter out once again. Okay. Now we move on. And we're going to have a little bit of a quiz. So we'll give you a few seconds. And we have 13 questions to get through to finish tonight's session. It's fairly straightforward, really. You can see the bidding and you can see your hand. You are west. You shouldn't, by the way, I don't think, be tempted to bid 2 diamonds there, but it's a close thing. But let's suppose you haven't. And the question is simply, you have a choice of 13 cards. What do you lead? Now, some of you say a lot more than others in these performances. So I was always trained in my teaching to bring out the quieties at the back. Now, the quieties are hidden to the right of my screen here. So it will be very nice to hear from more than, shall I say, the usual culprits here. I've got a clear card in mind here to lead. This is one of the easier ones. It's the first one. So
The jack.
Yeah.
Beryl always answers the question where it's an internal sequence. I've noticed that, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
first of all, this is the easiest one of the 13. Sorry, well answered anyway, though, Beryl. First of all, we're going to bid our longest suit, okay? And it's a lovely quality suit, but following the rules of leads, an honour promises the honour below. So we can't lead the king here, can we? But we should. We've got this lovely Jack 10-9 sequence. So I think that's a clear favourite, isn't it? The Jack of Diamonds. Well done, Beryl. 1 point to Beryl.
No.
Oh, by the way, I've been asked to do a Christmas quiz. Is it on December the 20th?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
So I hope you're not worried I'm going to get some giant screen out and do about 100 opening leads questions. So I've got something more on the lines of what those of you remember when you ended up having to come to my house that Christmas. It'd be more on the fun lines than that. Okay. Anyway, right, next one. You have a choice of 13 cards. Study the bidding carefully. Shall we say Beryl's disqualified for the next 12 rounds?
No.
Thank you.
Under assistant.
Your husband is. A correct answer, you can go and have a cup of tea or something. No, sorry, so anybody, you have a choice of 13 cards, you see the bidding, it's 3 no trumps again.
It's 7 of spades.
Nope.
Fourth highest of your longest suit.
Statistically, it might work. When I say no in that certain voice, by the way, I'm meaning most of the time it's no, but you never know, of course.
A heart, since your
Yeah,
partner
the
let
point
them.
is-
Of hearts, yeah.
South bid spades. You're
Yeah.
leading straight into their suits. So I'm sorry, I really do have to insist on not spades this time.
No diamond.
Three of
Ah,
diamonds.
we're getting nearer now.
Three of
So
hearts.
which one?
Come on, tell him.
Your
Three
partner
of
let
hearts.
hearts.
Go on, tell him. Somebody says, but I couldn't tell who it was.
3 of hearts.
Three of hearts.
Three of
That's been bid twice by North. We're in a
three of
race. to-
diamonds.
Yeah, well, she was dropping me in it, that's why.
Sorry, I'm not in the classroom. I shouldn't sound annoyed when you get such a bad answer as that.
Thank you.
No, I think Martin had established that it was diamonds. I think
Yeah.
it was Martin.
Yeah.
But
Three.
which one? Yes. You lead a low card to show. I know it's only 1 point, but it shows an honour in the suit, some points in the suit. So, yeah, 3 of diamonds. Well, it's the hearts and spades have been bid,
Yeah,
so there's absolutely no point in leading them.
no.
And so that leaves the choice between minors. It doesn't look very promising, but actually, how many points has partner got?
What they've got 25. 26,
25.
You could have up to 12.
Could have 12.
That's right.
Maximum of
Three.
12.
That's
Yeah.
the way, when you pick up these poor hands of defence,
also
look
have
on the
12,
bright
yeah.
side. Partner
Yeah.
could have an opening hand of 12
Yeah.
points. It's
12
quite
points.
possible. So our innocuous looking lead of the 3 of diamonds could be much more. We won't see the other hands. I haven't done any random deals today, but I think the 3 of diamonds, shall I put it this way, is the best bet.
Yeah.
There's nothing certain with
If
opening
partners, Chris, if partner's got an opening hand, why didn't he bid it?
Because North already bid 1 heart. Yes. Now, that's a good question, isn't it? And I was just quietly checking that myself in case anybody asked it. Now, he'd need, suppose he's got a balanced hand of 12 to 14, let's say 12 on the top side. He couldn't bid 1 no trump, could he?
No.
Right? He may not have the right kind of hand for a takeout double, because we know about the SOS rules. And he might be good in hearts. So
Why couldn't he bid 2 no trumps?
no, East bidding 2 no trumps would have a special meaning, Roy. Does anybody know what that is?
Yeah, it's 5-5 in the minors.
2 no trumps is never used as an overcall
Oh, I
because
didn't know that.
I mean, how often do you pick up 20 points when the person on your right has bid? No, 2 no trumps will have a session on these 2 suited overcalls at some point because we've barely touched them in the past. Shows 5 clubs and 5 diamonds. And I really do recommend you save it for that. You should never overcall 2 no trumps. If you're that strong, if you've got about 19 or 20 points, which can happen, just simply double. And whatever partner bids you, then make another bid. Do you see what I mean? So an interesting question.
Yeah.
So there are lots of reasons why a 12-point East might not have bid. Because North had the advantage of the opening lead. Is that okay with that hand there?
Yeah.
Of course, it's all educated guesswork. You know that, don't you? I mean, we're playing the probabilities, not certainties. But that's our best shot, diamonds. We are always west, by the way, always west.
6 of spades.
Queen of hearts.
Queen of hearts, I would have, yeah.
Queen of hearts.
Well, what was top of our lists?
Partners suit.
Oh, partner suit, yeah.
Was.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, yeah, I know this one's debatable. I think rules are made to be broken a bit. Now, when partner overcalls 1 spade, then they should be showing a really strong suit, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
If they haven't got many points. But when partner bids one spade, might open one spade on 4 or 5 low ones. So I don't think an opening bid of one spade is quite such a strong incentive to be forced to lead the 6 of spades. Now, looking at this, we got a fabulous 6-card heart suit and we got an entry. So it doesn't take too much imagination to see us reading off quite a few tricks. So there's a case for the 6 of spades, and of course I can't promise on an occasion it might work. But I think this is these are English Bridge Union hands, by the way. I don't make them up, not these ones. It suggests the queen. And the reason for it is on this occasion you've got an entry.
Yeah.
And it thinks, I mean, these days, you know, they can just run all this thousands of times through a computer. So, you know, it's a little bit difficult to argue. But there's a strong case for the 6, isn't there?
Yeah.
Now, if partner overcalls a suit, because of the suit quality test, it's a more reliable guide. So that's what it's come up with, Queen of Hearts. But if that entry hadn't been there, I think it would have been the 6 of spades. So it's a close one. It's a close one.
A 5 of spades.
There's somebody's ticking clock in the background. It's sending me off to sleep.
Oh,
Tick tock, tick tock. It's a nice sound. I like ticking clocks. Should go pass, pass, pass at the end of there, shouldn't it?
yeah.
It's all right. I've not fallen asleep. I'm just giving you a chance to think about it.
You didn't like the 5 of spades then, Chris? No.
Why didn't I like the 5 of spades? It looks the obvious lead, doesn't it?
Hmm.
North's got 4 spades.
Exactly. If we look at the bidding, and these days you're supposed to leave your bidding cards down on the table, we can deduce that North has 4 spades, possibly 5.
Right.
So that's why we've rather reluctantly, and normally you'd be leading spades without thinking about it. But this is where you got to lead the look. North bid 3 clubs, which is Stayman, isn't it? Just a level higher, of course. Now, when South said they got hearts, they reverted. Why have they bid Stayman? They got spades.
Yeah.
So it just needs a little bit of thinking about that one.
Yeah.
So we rejected the obvious one, spades.
Yeah.
Hearts will be dreadful.
Yeah.
So
5 of clubs.
Yeah.
this is no trumps. I think that I would prefer to take a slight chance with the 7 of diamonds. See if the English Bridge Union agree. Yeah. It's only slight, of course, but the fact we've just got one honour there makes it slightly more likely we're going to hit gold. It's only slight there, but there's no logical point in leading clubs when diamonds is very slightly better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, club would work, but Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, diamond will work. You see what I mean? It's just slightly better odds.
2 spades.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you see how the major suits were eliminated there by their Stayman inquiry. Every bid you make can give something away, and so we do know one thing. We do know South's got a very strong hand. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're okay with that one? I'm not going too quickly.
No, that's fine.
This is advanced.
Well, he's asked for the 2 of hearts to be led.
We recalled just a few minutes ago This crazy looking double of 3 no trumps should wake us up. And it means I want you to bid a suit that dummies bid. Now, can you see South Declarer, aren't they? Yeah, because we're always west. And dummy has bid hearts. So presumably partner must have, I mean, it seems strange leading a singleton, doesn't it, against a trump contract? But our partner East must have something special in hearts. And they did double for penalties because these days a double means a take-out double. So very unusually, we would lead the 2 of hearts there. And if it all goes pear-shaped, you blame your partner for watching this lesson.
Oh,
All right.
that's a big deal.
So just to recap then, the double of 3 no trumps lead dummy suit. And there's got to be a good reason for it, a jolly good heart suit with perhaps entries outside if the ace isn't there. Good. Watching the bidding. Now, the remaining hands will be just simply 1 spade, 3 spades, 4 spades. So I'll give you a few minutes, a few seconds on each one. No, it's okay. We're all right for time. We'll be able to finish this. So there's the bidding. Very straightforward.
Queen of clubs.
Yes, I don't think there's much argument there.
Yeah.
That's probably the easiest of the remaining 8 questions. You certainly don't want to lead a trump with that Queen Doubleton there. You could be just throwing a trick away. Declarer maybe planning some kind of finesse. A heart would be a safe lead, although to some extent Doubletons are a bit dangerous because what we said earlier about ruining partners holding. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Diamonds is, well, that will be like playing for a 0-0 draw in football, wouldn't it? It's just there's not much playing in a long weak suit against a trump contract. So we've got this nice sequence. It's called a broken sequence, isn't it? Actually, when it's 1 on a card, the next one below, and the one next door, but 1 below that. So that one, I hope you found straightforward. Same bidding.
Just saying, isn't it?
No,
No.
8 of diamonds.
8 of diamonds.
Yeah.
Singleton.
Confidence on the airwaves.
Yeah.
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 Singleton.
Now, yeah, this is where a singleton lead really is fine, isn't it? Because we've only got 6 points. It's reasonable. Can we hopefully assume that our partner might have the ace of diamonds? I think it's a fairly good bet, really. And we've got nothing else better to lead, have we? So I think the ace of diamonds. Well done. Most people seem to get that right.
Ace king.
Yeah.
Ace of hearts.
Ace of hearts.
Best lead in bridge, isn't it?
Mhm.
Now, the nice thing about that longish suit is it's quite likely our partner might have a doubleton there.
Yeah.
And we're going to be running over signals again in about a couple of weeks, but it gives our chance for partner to make some kind of signal there. We might get a rough on the 3rd round. So I think that's absolutely crystal clear there. Ace king, ace from ace king, best lead in bridge in general. Good.
King of clubs.
Yeah.
Why not the singleton, Roy?
Oh, the singleton. Possibly the sing. I'd have thought king of clubs.
That final answer.
Yes.
I didn't put him off, did I? You won tonight's star prize. And of course, the reason being is that we assume that North and South have got 25 points in some form or another. or it
Yeah.
might be in short suits, admittedly. But with our 13-point hand,
Yeah.
almost perhaps bidding 2 clubs, it must have been pretty close. Perhaps we're vulnerable or something. I think this is a bad time to lead a singleton because we've got a good hand. We've actually got an opening hand ourselves, haven't we?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're going to be strong in that. So.
13 points.
Could do a, incidentally, perhaps wondering why we didn't do a takeout double there. Well, I was. And the
When you've
reason
got 3
Your
spades.
singleton hard.
we're not
Yeah.
short in spades, so it would have been
Yeah.
a silly bid. Yes, must be getting tired. Right, good. Have I just clicked that one?
Yeah.
No, there's a slight difference. You've got the ace of diamonds last time. This time you
Oh,
hit
right.
ace jack. This time you just headed by the jack.
King of clubs again, surely. Yeah.
No, well, you've
Right.
got strong
That's
spades.
Yeah, but you're only going to have strong
four,
cards
five,
as
No,
well.
you don't want to rough there. You want to hold on to those rough. You want to hold on to
10
those
on.
spades.
Yeah.
I think the question there is trying to get you to lead a trump, isn't it?
Mm.
And that, you know, sorry, I don't mean that. I mean that it's trying to get you to lead the singleton. But why do we not want to rough this time?
We've got high
If you've got
spades.
3 high
It's a
spades.
waste,
Yeah.
and any one of those 3 cards could win a trick, you know.
Mm.
If it's sitting over the ace, queen, 9 or
Yeah.
something like that. So
King
it
of
is
clubs.
indeed the same answer, but for a different reason. So, you know, if you are lucky enough to have good trumps, don't waste them by leading a singleton there. Let them try and capture the queen, the 9, the 8, that sort of thing. Okay, good.
Mm. 10.
10 of diamonds.
Yeah, that's what I was about.
Yeah, we don't really like doubletons. You know, I mean, they can work very nicely. So 10 of hearts is not the worst answer. You're certainly not leading a trump there. And the trouble with 5 of clubs, it's one of these risky leads where the queen might have been able to beat the jack or something like that. And we have got a sort of high-ish sequence. So as it's an honour, you would actually lead the 10 of diamonds. Good. Next one.
Oh, blimey.
Over clubs, I think.
Diamond.
Oh, you could lead singleton spade.
Yeah.
5
5 of clubs.
yeah, 5 of clubs.
Ladies said what I think is the perfect answer, but I
Yeah.
didn't know which one it was.
The 8
Yeah,
of
it's a
spades.
It wasn't that lady, I'm sorry. No. I'll tell you why I don't like the 8 of spades.
Mhm.
Because it's quite likely that our partner's got 3 or 4 trumps. And we
Uh-huh.
could be in this position where we unfortunately kill their queen or jack, which would have otherwise won a trick.
Mhm.
Now, if you don't fully understand that, it doesn't matter. Just remember, don't lead a singleton trump.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Because
5 of clubs then.
4 of hearts.
well, there are 2 answers very close together. And in my
Yeah.
book here, it says either the 8 or the 5 of clubs.
All right.
I narrowly personally prefer the 8 because it gets the clear message, I don't like the suit. I haven't got
Yeah,
anything.
I do disagree with that, Chris, because your next
Why not?
club you throw away is going to be the 5, which is a high-low sequence, which tends to suggest a rough.
Yeah, it can do, can't it? I mean, in the book, it says they're of equal merit.
Yeah.
So obviously, nobody's ever quite decided in this case which is the better way of doing it.
Chris, isn't the middle up
One
down apply where you've got three
Yeah.
rubbish suit of 3?
I mean, that's what Keith's saying, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
That middle, up, down, when you've got 3 poor cards. Now, it depends on the cards you've got. I mean, it would take a hell of a lot of proving and an awful lot of bridge. I suspect that showing you've got no points in the suit is very slightly more important in the long run than showing you've got a doubleton. It's very important showing a doubleton when they lead the suit. But isn't this the beauty of bridge? The jury's out. We see I put 8 of clubs, but I have to, in the book, both cards are underlined. And certainly until very recently, it would have always been the 5 of clubs. The only trouble with 5s and 6s, they're very indeterminate, aren't they? I mean, they're a bit in the middle of the signal range, but we could argue for ages over that. So some say 5, some say 8. They're probably about equal, actually. You know, if you've got something like 8-3-2, though, I think the answer swings definitely in favour of the 8. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
With the 5, it's right in the middle. It's probably 50-50. Last one tonight.
I'll stick my head up. 5 of spades.
It makes it look this evening as if we don't often lead trumps, doesn't it? Because I think isn't this the first time we've decided to lead a trump?
Yeah.
But in actual reality, you can lead a trump much more often than that. Now, we're leading spades because, quite honestly, it's a suit contract and all the other suits are pretty poor leads. And so we're, in a way, leading trumps for negative reasons. Now, with trumps, by the way, you don't give any signal. It's their suit. There's no point. So, yes, you just lead to me, that's the 5 of spades. It doesn't matter whether it's the 8 or the 7. You don't need to signal in a trump suit. So anyway, it doesn't really matter very much there. So that was the only example where we actually led trumps, and we led it for negative reasons because the other 3 suits were dangerous. We were touching on the other main reason leading trumps is when, was it Fraser was saying that they found difficulty in getting to the right contract and possibly bid 3 suits. So that's another excellent occasion when you lead trumps. Okay.
Yeah.
And I would suggest that most of us probably don't lead trumps often enough because you don't think you're supposed to because it's their suit. Incidentally, only lead trumps if you can when you've got 2 or 3 lowish ones. That's the other thing. Singleton, we've seen, tends to spoil partners holding. If you've got longer trumps than that, if you've got 4 or even 5, do you know what you're supposed to do if you've got lots of trumps, 4 or 5 of them?
No.
Right. This is called the forcing defense. It's not here tonight. But what you do is lead your longest suit and keep leading it. Now, final tip tonight then, if you're lucky enough to have 4 or more trumps, lead your longest suit and keep leading it. What will happen, you hope, is that you run declarer out of trumps and he loses control of the hand. Okay?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
I hope that all made sense because I've not got diagrams for it. We've had lots of very good questions tonight, and so we'll stop recording.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
So hold on a minute. Oh, here we are, stop share. There we are, that's that. And where is it? There we are. I've